What's good, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for clicking this video. So what I'm doing is starting with a color number 1B unit. This is a closure wig. I'm showing you what the inside looks like. I'm not that good at it, but yes, that is what it looks like. I'm using the blue Kaale Colors bleach from Clairol, and I'm going to be using 40 volume developer also from Clairol. It doesn't really matter what bleach or developer you use, but this is the one I had. So this is the consistency of the bleach that I'm using. It's more on the runny side. If you were dyeing the knots on the closure, then it would be more on the thick side. But yeah, make sure you wear gloves as well, because this is a messy process and you're working with chemicals and you don't want this to get on your hands. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to go in on the hair, just really no method to it. You see me just putting this, the method is just to cover all of the hair. That's the method, that's the goal. So once you cover all the hair, you just let it sit for, I think I let it sit for about 45 minutes, or at least until I saw that it was lifted enough for me to put the dye on. So right now I'm just putting on the bleach, and then you'll see me put the dye on.
When you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave.
You do want to make sure that you are going in and sectioning the hair off really well, making sure you're not missing any pieces so that all of the hair gets bleached, because you don't want any random dark parts poking through. Unless that's what you want, then by all means, but it's better to go ahead and section your hair out so that way you know that all of the hair is coated.
Rated X. That means you're extra, extra.
after letting the hair process for about 45 minutes-ish, this is the color that it is. Now I'm just going to be rinsing, thoroughly rinsing this out before we go ahead and do our watercolor method. Now before going in with the watercolor method, I just want to make sure that all the bleach is out. So I'm taking my TRESemmé Touchable Softness shampoo and I'm running that through the hair, making sure I get all up in the hair, all in the sections, so that way there is absolutely no bleach still left on the hair before we go ahead with the watercolor method. You just want to be as thorough as possible so that way when you actually go to dye your hair, you won't be wasting your time because it will actually take and the color will stick. So this is what the hair is looking like after bleaching, after washing. It's lighter than this, but it's wet, so it looks a little darker. But we're going to go ahead in and do the watercolor method. So I've turned my faucet all the way on to hot. You can see it's steaming. I did not boil this water. I'm just using faucet water from the sink. You don't need to use boiling hot water, but it is recommended to use warm to hot water, so you can use sink water if that's what you have. These are the colors that I'm using. I'm using 3 different brands, and these are the shades: cinnamon, amber, and copper brown. I used more of the cinnamon and copper brown than the amber because the person I was dyeing this hair for did not want it to be too bright or orangey, so I was just giving them what they asked for. So I'm taking the dye and I'm just going to be pouring it in to the bin and mixing it up and making sure that there are no clumps, lumps, or anything like that, because you don't want to have weird patches of colored hair and not colored hair. You want to make sure all of it is mixed in well. I do recommend before you go ahead and just dip your wig all up in there without even knowing what the color looks like, especially if you're using a dark bin like me, then you should take a paper towel, a white paper towel or a napkin, whatever, and dip it in there just to try to see what color the wig would turn out to be. It will be something similar to that. So once you're satisfied or not satisfied, add more dye or just go ahead and dip your wig in. I clearly felt the need here to add more of the amber hair color because as I was doing the little test strips, it just wasn't the color that I was trying to go for, because I did have a picture for reference, so I was just trying to get as close to the picture as possible. But you really do want to make sure that you are stirring this mixture thoroughly, because like I said, you don't want it to be clumpy. But after you've done that, you can go ahead and just dip your wig, and then I would recommend leaving it in there for like about 20 minutes or more or less. I know that's super like contradictory, but it just depends on what your hair is doing. Like, just make sure you're checking on it and seeing if the color is taking, and you just want to make sure that you don't just dip it and immediately rinse it, because the color won't stick.
And more each day, and this makes me sad, and it hurts.
After you've let it sit, then you want to go ahead and rinse the wig until it runs clear. You want to make sure that you're rinsing it until it runs clear, because if it doesn't run clear and you just rinse it or wash it and let it sit, then when the person is wearing the hair, or when you're wearing the hair, the color can bleed onto your clothes, or the next time you wash it, it'll just like completely run the color out. So you want to make sure that the color runs clear before you go ahead and start with the shampoo. What I like to use is silicone mix. After I've processed any of my hair, I like to let it sit for this really depends, but usually I'll 10 or more minutes. If it's really processed, then I'll do like an hour or more and just let it sit until I feel like it's been enough time. But this really brings hair back to life, so I would highly recommend you getting silicone mix if you don't own it yet. So this is the finished look, guys. It is super duper cute, really close to the picture, and yeah, perfect for fall. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and check out my other videos. Thanks. See you in the next one.